So really, ain't nothing in this integration. I need some land. I need some jobs. My people need jobs. We need something so we can build and do for ourselves, and we must have some land. Now, what's your suggestion? What should be my movement? Integrate?
Yeah, equal rights in a mixed society.
In this society, where you still own the government, you still own the train station, the railroad plant, the lecture plant, these television cameras, you still make all the food, you control everything, and I'm like a leech on a dog's back. All I can do is just wait for you. I can't do nothing for myself. Integrating in your society don't mean I'm doing nothing for myself. You doing it all. I want to do something for myself. I'm tired of depending on you. You might get broke one day. Your stores might close. Your gas pumps might cut off again. I'm relying on you now. Can I have my own land?
Thank you for tapping in. This is Brian HRap B. Williams, Enter the Bench Media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a program called A Few Minutes with HRap. Well, what I do is hopefully provide information that'll inspire, uplift, and engage with you so we can be a better community, top to bottom, left to right. Thank you. Before I start, I always thank my parents, Dolores and John. Without them, there's no me. Without me, and what you'll be doing something else with your valuable time. If you're not watching this live, I want you to go to my website. If you watched before, you know it's www.theenderthebench.com, www.theenderthebench.com, and you can watch this in its entirety, and in addition to that, you can watch the video that I will play in a little while about Black history, and it ties right into the story. State of emergency is the name of the program today. Why are we in a state of emergency? Because we are in a state of emergency because we are not aware of what's going on. We're overrun with ignorance at this point. We are, and ignorance in the true scientific sense of it, not in a colloquial way. We don't have information. The second thing we're not aware of is who is against us. We have several different wars going on, and we don't even understand why the war is happening. So when you are being attacked and you are attacking the wrong people, you are depleting your opportunity for success. And what we need to do, what I'm going to do today is talk about those things. And as we talk about those things, what I'm going to do is put myself and yourself in a position to make your grandchildren's great-grandchildren live a better life. That's the goal. Your great-grandchildren's grandchildren need to be in a better situation than we're in today, because it is a dangerous situation. We're fighting a hopeless fight. And if we don't get our things in order, we will definitely be 10 generations behind. 10, not 1, not 3, not 5, 10. 10. If you are not aware of what's going on, realize that you are in a worse situation than your great-grandparents. Great-grandparents. Do you know, if you're a woman in the United States of America, specifically a Black woman in the United States of America today, you have less rights than your grandmother. Listen to that. You have less rights than your grandmother. And this is insane. You do not have total autonomy of your body. You do not have the ability to do with your physical being what you want. Listen to how crazy or insane that is. This is what I want you to understand. And this is why we have to put our heads together. We must understand what we're up against, and then we move forward. Now, with that being said, as usual, hit that thumbs up, hit that like, share, tell a friend to tap in. Who's your enemy? Your enemy is the power structure. I'm not going to put a color on it. People always want to make it a color. And then, you have some silly people, silly fools to defend your enemy. Oh, well, you can't say all of this group of people. You can't say all of that group of people. You know what's amazing? We will wage war against people on the continent. These people on the continent don't like us. You never say people in Ghana. You never say people in Sierra Leone. You never say people in Egypt. You never say people in Nigeria. You never say people in South Africa, Botswana. You say the continent, the largest land mass on earth, 3 billion people there, and you are comfortable saying they don't like us. But if I say white people are our enemy, what the first thing you'll hear people saying, you say it in the crowded room, and there'll be some Black people there, and they'll say, well, not all of them. But you don't say that. You say it with total autonomy against our African brothers and sisters. And then you bring up what you believe are historic facts to support exactly what you said. Then you'll say, well, we need to look at the LGBTQIE plus community. Again, I would like for you to just do the research in your brain. Google, you got to remember, this thing right here is either a tool or a toy. At this point, it's a toy for most people. But it's a tool or a toy. Do you understand that that computer on that phone that's in your hand that you may actually be watching this program on has is a better computer than the one who put people on the moon? So how could you possibly walk around uninformed with that much knowledge and power in your hand? But that's beside the point. Do some research right now in your phone. Even if you start watching the program, do some research, then come back if you like and find out which time did the LGBTQIE community attack the Black community. You'll find that it's never done that. But you will wage war. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them. As I was telling a friend this morning, how many times have they attacked us? Zero. Back to the original point. Now, look, this is what I want you to do. I want you to remove, just think about that statement. I'm sick of seeing these people. Like, I'm sick of seeing gay people on commercials. I'm sick of seeing gay people in community on TV shows. I'm sick of seeing them in movies. I'm just sick of it. All I want you to do is go back to 1975. 72. Go to 1972. And then I want you to turn on your television. You know what you're going to see? You're going to see the Flip Wilson Show. You're going to see the Jeffersons. You're going to see Sanford and Son. You're going to see, Good Times. That's what you're going to see on TV. And just imagine yourself being a white person, and I'm sick of seeing them on TV. Exactly. You sound just like the people who hate you, who do everything they can to put your ass in a trick bag, and you're regurgitating and repeating everything they say, and you think it's cool. And see, there is no because the moment you start repeating and regurgitating and sounding like your enemy, you are other people's enemy, and you want to put those other people in the same position you're in, whether you want to admit it out loud or not. See, that walking around that hate of a specific culture. See, like if this is your first time listening, yes, I do not like white people, but I didn't say anything about people of European descent. Because the people who I've met in my lifetime who identify as white, they are traditionally the people that support the people in play right now. The people who say, no, I'm Jewish, I'm Irish, I'm German, I'm Polish, I'm French. Those are people who have a well-rounded mentality, and they've interacted with more people, and they put themselves in a position to whereas I love my culture and I hate nobody. But the people who are like the president of the United States and other people, they put themselves in a position to feel like they're empowered, and they're in a position of power, and they have to destroy, crush, kill, and discriminate against others. So if you, just like I don't identify as Black or African American, I identify as indigenous to this continent. I'm not going to get into that right now, but we'll get into it at some point. I definitely will do a program in regards to that. So what I want people to understand is this. While you repeat and re-rinse and say things, you put yourself in a position to not even know who you're against. Again, going back to your enemy. How many people from the Latino community has ever waged war against Black people? None. Because when you heard about the Africans being dropped off in an island that we know as Puerto Rico now, and there was Tiana Indians there, you never heard about the Indians, the Tiana Indians attacking us. You never heard about that. When you heard about this island called, half of it is Dominican Republic, the other half is Haiti. It's not Haiti, it's Haiti, but that's neither here nor there as well. You never heard about those people attacking. As a matter of fact, those people attacked the French who were attempting to colonize them, and they forced the French to sell everything west of the Mississippi called the Louisiana Purchase. So they actually helped create the United States. But again, you've never heard about those people attacking us. You have heard of the term, remember the Alamo. Most people have heard, remember the Alamo. You know why they want to remember the Alamo? Because the people in Mexico said we're no longer going to enslave our, at one point, allies, Africans, and white people waged war and got their ass torn up cat raggedy. So they can't remember when they got their asses kicked. But they tell you, oh, it's Davy Crockett and those guys were fighting against these savages. No, Those people who they refer to as savages said, we're not treating those black people like that no more. And if you don't want to understand why, look up the name John Horse. John Horse is the muscle behind that. But again, but as you see, nobody's attacked us but the people who when Europe flushed their toilets and they emptied their jails and put people over here, those are the people that were put here. And then they created this construct called white. And then they made people who look like us 3/5 of human beings, and they call the people who are called indigenous, and we used to call them Indians at one point, they were called savages. And get this, we're going to civilize them. How can you civilize people who had their own God, their own diet, their own way of living, their own way of knowing, meaning spirituality, before they ever met you? And you're going to civilize them, seeing how the continent that you come from flushed its toilets and push you over here. Again, if you don't know who your enemy is, how could you possibly fight your enemy? How could you possibly create anything against your energy? Exactly. That's it. We're on the same page. Thank you for the support. Hit that like, hit that share, and continue to support. Continue to comment. Thank you, Poetic Sins. Now, like I was saying, who is your enemy? The people who are attempting to take away Medicaid and Medicare. The people who are taking away the SNAP program. The people who are reducing education. Why would you want to reduce health care for elders and impoverished people? Because if impoverished people ever come to prominence, they may remove you. They may reduce your power. They may take some of that money that you're paying them and create entities on their own. Why would you want to reduce education? Because knowledge is power. The reason you and me and a lot of people who look like you and I and other people who are in our employment status don't stay here, because they don't know the knowledge of they don't know the knowledge of they don't have the knowledge of history, and they cannot use that history to empower themselves into a higher position. See, a lot of people think you go to school so you can take a bunch of tests and you can get fancy grades. You get a fancy grade and then you move up. You know what that teaches you how to do? That teaches you how to go work for someone. I have a college degree. I have completed 120 credit hours of education. And you know what I haven't done? You know what I never had a class of? Entrepreneurism. Never had a class that said, and this is how you open a business. You know, when you do that, you get that in grad school, and you have to go to law school for that. But again, if I make it so you probably won't get out of elementary school, and then it's a struggle to get out of high school. And if I do just indoctrinate you into this program and this way of thinking, you'll never think about that either. Because if you start doing on your own, if you do for self, you won't suffer the consequences that you're suffering right now. When you look at the way the country is structured, you must, again, roll back history. And then you find out 100 years ago, they tried to pass the Affordable Care Act. It wasn't called that then. And and the SNAP program. And you know what? It was people who were in power that said, we don't want black people to have that. So we will suffer on our own so that black people won't get an opportunity. I'm not giving them billions of dollars. I just want to give them free health care. I want to give them public safety. I want to give them guaranteed education. No, we don't want them to have that. Because if they're even, they're leaving. And that's the problem. See, when you find out who's obstructing this and who's tricking you into this damn box of crayons, and you keep black, white, gray, orange, pink. No, these are human beings. One race, thousands of tribes throughout the planet. One race, human race, thousands of tribes. The tribe of people that look like us. And guess what? It's just like on Africa, on the continent. It's people from Sierra Leone who are right up under the people in Ghana and Nigeria. They are not the same, but they look the same. Just like to our naked eye, people from Japan, people from Korea, people from China, they look alike. They look alike. I don't know, but they are different. So guess what? Different tribes. But when you have been oppressed, denigrated, and disrespected, you fall into the thinking of your enemy, or, to be frankly, the people who colonized you. That's what I want you to understand. Now, what threat do they pose? They pose a severe threat. Let's just go with my people, because I told y'all, I speak directly to my people. And when I speak directly to my people, what happens is we improve. And when we improve, everybody improves. You know, the rising tide lifts all boats. So if I improve my people and get our minds right, we've never been a warring people and destructive people and people who are attempted to destroy anyone. So what we would do, what I would do by uplifting us, and people have to realize Africa is a continent and not a country. Shout out to Poetic Sins. Once again, she's killing it. Thank you for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, but once again, we must realize what threat do they pose? Knowledge is the greatest threat in the world, because if you don't know, just imagine this. If you took an eagle and raised them around chickens, and he would act like the chickens, he would never attempt to fly. He would never use that 8-foot wingspan, and he would never soar above everything. If you never run, you'll never understand that you could be Carl Lewis, you could be Usain Bolt, you could be Gail Diedrich, you could be Wilma Rudolph, you could be Florence Griffith Joyner. You would never understand it if you never run, if you never understood the fact that you could run. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, when you ever seen either cartoons or even pictures of an elephant, one of the biggest and probably the biggest and strongest land mammal on the planet, and they'll have him tied to a rope with a spike in the ground, and he just stands there. Now, if the elephant actually knew how strong he was, the elephant would just walk away. If he started walking, the spike come out the ground, elephant be free. If he had the knowledge or the information and not being tamed mentally, the elephant do what he want to do, because he's the most powerful and the strongest animal on the planet. But they got his mind early. They tied him to the thing when he was a baby, when he couldn't potentially get free. And when he did, when he tried then, he could. He just assumed he never can. That's why they attacked the Department of Education, to limit your knowledge base, to put you in a position of ignorance. And once you're in a position of ignorance, they're in a position of power. The next threat that they pose, well, they're going to do away with SNAP benefits. If you're not eating, you're not as strong. But here's the fail safe in that. You ain't supposed to be eating 3 times a day anyway. You're not supposed, I'm going to say it again. You're not supposed to be eating 3 times a day anyway. If you doubt, well, oh man, how you going to eat one? How many you're not going to eat 3 times a day? Because you don't need to eat 3 times a day. All you have to do is look at, go to Netflix, go to YouTube, or wherever you want to go and watch one of those Animal Planet stories. Do the animals eat every day? No, they don't. And the animals that eat frequently are traditionally vegetarians, and they run it right through their body, take the nutrients, and it comes right out. You're only supposed to eat once a day. Why could you survive off once a day? Easily. It takes 8 hours to digest one meal. If it takes 8 hours to digest one meal, why would you eat 3 times a day? And it's only 24 hours in a day, which means your body is never extracting the nutrients that you need from the food that you just consumed and sending it to your central nervous system. It's not doing that. If it's not doing that, then what is it doing? It's digesting all day. And that's why your blood flow slows down. That's why you have swelling and inflammation in your body, because your body is being overworked. If you ate once a day, it will streamline. And then you drink water, it will streamline. And once it streamlines, it comes out. And now your blood is functioning the way it should. And if it was functioning the way it should, your pressure is low. And if your blood is easier to flow through your body, your heart isn't messing up. So now you no longer have diabetes. You no longer have heart disease. Oh, damn. And if your blood is flowing the way it should be, nothing is clogging it up. And that clogging creates diabetes and cancer. And now you don't have that either. See, and if you're growing your own food, then you don't have to go to the grocery store. And if you're growing your own food, don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't need pesticides, and those pesticides sit in your body and they stacked up on top of each other. And that's what's killing you. Have you ever noticed that your grandparents, have you ever seen anybody's grandmother, grandfather back in the old school days with a cold? Have you ever seen that? I've never seen it. I got 4 grandparents. I had 6 grandparents. I had 2 great grandparents with my mom, my grandparents with my mom, and my grandparents with my father. Never seen any of them with a cold, because they allowed their bodies to rest. Just like on the weekends. These are the threats that they pose. They trigger you into poor eating habits and lack of knowledge. And then the greatest part, activity. You never slow down. Every time I'm off work, people, what you gonna do on your day off? Nothing. I'm not doing a damn thing. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna rest my mind. I'm not doing anything. You know why? Because I don't want to. But they make you believe if you're not doing something, you're doing something wrong. But you know what? Why ain't they ever asking us to do something like start another book club? Look into what HRap said the other day about eating. Talking to your doctor about what's going on. Exercising. Drinking more water. Flushing your system. Why ain't we doing that's something to do, but we don't ever do that. But what we do is we consume more alcohol, we consume more processed food, we pile poison on top of poison on top of poison on top of poison. And again, you ever notice this? When you have a newborn child, you feed them, it comes right out. You feed them, it comes, you give them water, comes right out. Because the body is absorbing, taking what it needs, get up out of here. Now, if your body not doing that, maybe that's why you got a stomach like me. That's why you got a little extra fat on your legs like me. That's why you got that's why I'm doing 250 push-ups a day. That's why you're doing that, because I'm not taking care of my body. Have I eaten anything today? Not a thing. Do I seem like I'm sick? Do I seem like I'm weak? Do I seem like I'm lethargic? No, I haven't. All I've done is drink water today. And at some point today, I'll go get a meal because I work overnight. So I'll be up all night and then bam, it's going down. These are the things I need you to pay attention to. These are the things I need you to embrace. And these are the things that you need to participate in. This is the thought process, because your enemies want you to be uninformed, which is ignorant. They want your shields down so they can do what they want, because they'll present themselves as friends. And when you are ignorant in the clinical sense, not, shut your ignorant behind up. No, lack of knowledge. Then your defenses are down. And when your defenses are down, you're vulnerable. And then now you don't have the knowledge that you need. You don't have the information that you need. You're not talking to your elders, so you don't have the wisdom, and you have no understanding. We'll attack you, and then we'll get a goofball in the White House, and y'all think the president is the most powerful man in the world, and he's not. It's the people in Congress. Like, for example, I'm going to show you this video to when we were not allowed to fully participate, and you can see how great we were. And once you see that, you'll see what we can do. And once you see what we can do, then you won't be tricked into anything. With that being said, allow me to show you said video. This is a video from the Black History and Abundance channel. Go check them out. I'm not going to show it in its entirety. If you want to see the video in its entirety, go to Black History and Abundance, or you can go to www.theendofthebench.com. You'll get the information in its entirety. You'll be helping me. And they'll get the credit as well, but you're helping me at the same time. Hey, look, one hand washing the other, both hands washing the face. Watch this short portion of this video, and I'll be back shortly.
The first half of the 20th century shaped Black Americans' identity and influence in the United States. In reaction to racist actions and laws in that period, Black neighborhoods provided a sense of belonging, serving as a space not only to garner wealth, but also to create Black culture in a unique and authentic way. During this time, a Black cultural identity began to emerge, but Black Americans were still significantly affected by key events such as Jim Crow, segregation, and desegregation. Many of these communities disintegrated because of factors such as gentrification, redlining, and just outright racism, while others continue to rebuild and evolve. However, the history of these neighborhoods have often been hidden and not fully recognized. Today in this video, we will take a look at some of the thriving Black communities that developed across the country, where African-American businesses, districts flourished and served as examples of Black economic self-empowerment. Tulsa, Oklahoma is home of the Greenwood District, also known as Black Wall Street. It is one of the most well-known Black business districts from the early 20th century. The district were a successful, self-sufficient society where clusters of Black businesses thrived. Black Americans created their own community and economy, which included a newspaper, grocery stores, barbershops, doctor offices, schools, and much, much more. The area was a black utopia with a population of about 10,000 people at the time until jealous mobs of armed white residents descended on the community, burning down businesses, looting homes, and attacking so-called African Americans on May 31st, 1921. The massacre killed hundreds of black residents and thousands of houses were destroyed.
Teenagers are building businesses with AI, while the only AI you know is ChatGPT.
And as you see, this is a situation whereas this is an ongoing threat. This is a threat that we seem to have ignored. Why is it that you would get in bed with people who've done that? One of the reasons that they attacked and tried to burn that portion of Tulsa, Oklahoma down is because one white dude openly said he walked past a black home, they had a piano, and he couldn't afford one. So how could they afford one? So we're going to attack you. This is what we're dealing with even to this day. What are you doing being the billionaire Michael Jordan? What are you doing being the billionaire Oprah Winfrey? What are you doing being President Barack Obama? Get back in your place. You don't believe me? We can go back 161 years. And the Emancipation Proclamation, Wilmington, North Carolina, so forth. What is it? Lake Lanier, Georgia. And we have places in each and every state in these United States of America, Wilmington, North Carolina, in which people became elected official. Our people in the 1800s, the 1860s became elected officials. 1860, like 3 to 5 years after enslavement ended, you had elected officials that looked like you and I who were descendants of people who were enslaved. Yeah, 3 to 5 years. You mean when it was illegal to read and only 4% of us know how to read, 4 years later, 84% of us knew how to read and they became elected officials. And what did they do? They literally, the Klan got riled up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and told black people, if y'all don't leave town, we will choke the river with your body. Meaning we will put so many dead black people in that river, it will stop flowing. And they've done it. And they've done it again. They do it again. And now you got people in office trying to do it again. Now, again, to let you know, how do we fight? We fight in a multitude of ways. How about this? Let's make it real simple. We can go from the ground up. What would you do? What is one of the principles of karate, kung fu, and things of that nature? It is a discipline. So what if we start putting our children, instead of football, baseball, basketball, start putting them into self-defense classes like karate, kung fu, jiu-jitsu, and hapkido? The reason you would do that is because you would teach them structure. You would teach them discipline. And to learn those arts, most of those people, those instructors will tell you this. They'll say, hey, you must, like when my son took it, he had to maintain a specific GPA or you couldn't do it. So that means you're going to work your behind off academically in order to get this discipline. And then you're going to learn how to defend yourself. You don't learn how to fight, you learn how to defend yourself. Now our young ladies are not subjected to domestic violence inside and outside the community, kidnapping inside and outside the community. Our young men are not such angry beings attempting to prove things in a Western European male bravado kind of way. I mean, a Western European, white people in America. I sound like I made a mistake, but I didn't. White guy kind of way. And then it enforces academics. So now you have an art that's teaching you discipline, that's helping you academically. Damn, how about that? And then we teach our children, you may not like it, and a lot of people are going to disagree with this exponentially, but then we start teaching our children how to operate and use guns. A gun is a tool, just like this is a tool. Now, guess what it could be used for? It could be used for hunting. It could be used for self-defense. And when you take out the demonization of the gun, guess what happens? That said weapon becomes a tool, and you only use it when you have to. So when you want to hunt food, you want to hunt deer, you want to hunt hogs or whatever, you want to hunt things to eat, you use the gun. Or if someone poses a threat to you, like in the preface of Rosa Parks' books, she mentions how the Ku Klux Klan would get riled up and her grandfather would say, everybody go to bed. And if he set 2 pistols on his lap and a Winchester across his lap and said, if they come in here, I'm going to kill as many of them as I can. And she said she sat next to his foot in hopes that they would come in so she could see him kill some. Those 2 pistols and the Winchester were weapons of defense. And once you undemonize weapons or tools or guns or firearms and teach your young people that they're tools. You won't. Now you have the mentality of discipline with the self-defense. You have the mentality of defense with and tool with the weapons. And then you have the knowledge base that you would need. That's how you start the fight. That's how you start the fight. And then you replicate things like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Peoria, the western part of the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. And I can walk you through chapter, book, and verse of city, towns, and places throughout these United States where Black people had towns of their own, currency of their own, and survived on their own. And then we'll stop trying to get jobs. We'll start opening businesses. The average corner store, if you're on the East Coast, you call it a bodega or whatever you call it in your community. The stores that a lot of people from other countries are controlling and they're using our community, they're making $28 to $4,200 a day. So you talk about $96,000 a month. And even if you take that $96,000 and cut it by 60% and just take 35% of that $96,000, $35,000 a night, and put it in your pocket, and then put the rest in your coffers for the store to be running, the employees to be paid. Guess what? Which one of y'all make $35,000 a month? Some people not making $35,000 a year. So guess what? You don't need a 401k because now it's me and my cousin Mike, and we both own corner stores. And then his brother, and they own corner stores. Then my two brothers, and all of us own corner stores. And then all of us, go figure, have sons, and they work at the corner stores, and then they go to school and come work at and close out the corner stores. It teaches you responsibility, it teaches you entrepreneurship, and it teaches you independence. And that's exactly what we need. And then we come together and take our 5 corner stores and leverage them and open up a grocery store. And then we open up one on all sides of town. Now you have a conglomerate. Now you use your grocery stores to fill up your coffers in your corner stores, and now you have a conglomerate. You have a consortium. And at that point, you're unstoppable. And then you do the same thing with dry cleaners. You do the same thing with gas stations. You do the same thing with everything that we need. We don't need another chicken shack. We do not need another chicken shack, another barbershop. We don't need that. But what we do need is things like we are the #1 consumers of fish in the United States of America. So why ain't everybody in this community trying to open up a fish house? Why ain't anybody trying to raise catfish, raise perch, and raise the fish that we consume, and then shipping it to emporium all throughout the United States of America? You know how easy that would be? Again, if we start doing these things, and that's how you fight. See, everybody think fight, pull out guns and shoot. No, we live in a capitalist society. The greatest way to hurt a capitalist is to keep your money in your pocket. And if you doubt it, all I want to do is take you back 5 years. 5 years ago today, we were locked in our houses, and then president held off on a stimulus check that Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party pushed out there. He held off on it. He fought it, so he could write his name on it, and got people believing he gave them $1,200. But this is what you didn't realize. He also took that $1,200 out your taxes. Think about your tax return. In 2021, it was $1,200 short. So you thinking he gave us? No, but why did he give it to you? Why did they give it to you? So you can continue to spend money so the capitalists continue to reap the benefits. Jeff Bezos at the beginning of the pandemic got a divorce, had to give his wife $170 billion. And guess what? He made it back by August. No, he gave us $70 billion. I'm losing my mind. He made $140 billion. He gave us $70 billion. And by August of that same year, because we were going crazy on Amazon, because a lot of us got that stimulus money, and we gave it right back to Jeff Bezos, and he broke even. Actually, he made $70 billion because he made $140 billion by August. You see the trap? So if your whole premise is to make money off me, and I start shopping with people who look like me, guess what happens? The people who look like me become more powerful. And then guess what? We putting our children in school because we don't really need them to go to school. They're going to school to enhance their minds, get information, get more information, become lawyers, get poli-sci degrees, political science, and then we're putting people in play. And then we stop listening to jackasses on the internet telling you, hold your vote for tangibles. No, you don't tell me to hold my vote for tangibles in November. You tell me like the election is right now, and we're waiting on the election in 2028. That may not happen, but we're waiting on that. And guess what? Actually, we're waiting on one in the midterms in November of 2026. And guess what? Hold your vote for tangibles. Why ain't nobody saying that now? Don't say that 90 days before the election. You say it now, and you arm people with information like we need to get people in play. So we can get, the biggest talk is reparations. You want reparations? I want reparations. You're damn right I want reparations. We want reparations, right? Cool. This is how you get reparations. You need 240. There's 400 and I think 406 people in the House of Representatives. And you need 280 of them to vote for reparations. Make sure you voting for the people who won't get you reparations. Whether they white, black, orange, gray, or blue. That's what you do. You need 60 people. It's 100 senators. You need 60 of them to say, we're going to give you reparations. Make sure you do that. The dude at the White House is really just a figurehead. He means nothing. Just like at one point, Steve Jobs was the most powerful man at Macintosh at the time. And guess what? The board of directors at Macintosh said, we're sick of you. Get up out of here. And he had to open up another company. And then they brought him back. But just like that, that's the way the government works. If the Senate and the House of Representatives said, we're sick of this cat, get him out of here, he's out of here. And that's what you need to understand. But we're not doing that. We're sitting around complaining to each other. I'm calling my man Big Illinois. Hey, man, they tripping. And he calling his homeboy. Hey, man, it's tripping. And nothing getting done. But you fight by organizing. You fight by first you have to fight by conversation. You got to plan something. And then you organize. You mobilize. That's what that's called. Coming together. And then you organize. Having conversations, come up with a game plan. And then you fight. Could be a physical fight. To quote one of the greatest orators, one of the greatest ministers, one of the greatest men in the history of this country, Malcolm X, and even the world, it's either the ballot or the bullet. Most of y'all ain't going to shoot off nothing but your mouth. Therefore, educate yourself on the political process. Educate yourself on the people who are running. Educate yourself and your friends on what you want and need, and then move forward. And at that point, you're undefeatable. With that being said, hit that like, hit that share. Watch to the end because Dr. Amos Wilson has something powerful to say. See y'all tomorrow. This your man HRap, and
I often put it this way. In order for us to be in the state that we are in today as people, we have to be out of our minds. We literally have to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be backwards. It is necessary for us to be maladjusted. It is necessary for us to be disunited. It is necessary for us to be self-hating. It is necessary for us to be filled with an inferiority complex. In a world where the European is essentially about 10% of the world's population, if that 10% is to continue to rule over the other 90%, it must keep that 90% out of its mind. It must keep that 90% in a state of deception. It must keep